Hello, today for review I've got recently released iBasso IT01s. First of all, I want to call them updated version, but actually it's not updated version of IT01, it's totally new in-ear monitors. They are also using 10mm dynamic driver, but now this dynamic driver is designed by iBasso in-house. It's a really high-tech driver. It uses carbon nanotube dome diaphragm, really thin and lightweight, and to be rigid and stiff, it's coated with carbon diamond-like coating. And also here used high Tesla flux magnet system, so it's really advanced dynamic driver. Also they changed design a little bit, added new cable made of 5N pure oxygen-free copper, and actually they also raised the price. Now the price of this model is $200, and let's have a closer look. Box is pretty simple. As you see, I've scratched mine a little bit, but it has nice shining look. Almost zero polygraphy here, just some technical specifications. Let's see what we've got here. 10mm dynamic driver, frequency response from 10 Hz to 43 kHz, 109 dB of sensitivity, 16 ohm of impedance, so they are pretty easy to drive, but not super sensitive to be noise picking. Noise attenuation on the average level, rated power 10 mW, so as you can see, low figures of total harmonic distortion, pretty good modern IEMs spec wise. So here was IEMs themselves, I've already put them here. I will explain a bit later why I did that. And here in this pouch you will have the manual, warranty card and all other necessary papers. You've got really good tin can for storage. Here is IEMs themselves, and also iBasso put really lot of tips. So you will have 3 pair of single flange silicone. So actually all silicone tips here are single flanged. They have just a bit different design, different shape, so you can find the ones that will suit you most. As you can see here, those one are a bit less in height, but with bigger openings here. Those are more traditional. And yet another 3 pair of silicone tips. Those are made of black silicone. And also you will have 2 pair of foams, and also 1 pair is already attached to the IEMs themselves. Also you will have new cable, it's balanced, and you will have an adapter to use it with single-ended outputs. Also there are spare filters, they didn't change the sound, spare filters and these rubber rings. They didn't change the sound, it's just in case you will need to replace the stock ones, to clean them or just to replace. So as you can see, accessory set is really nice. In terms of design and build quality, they are also nice. As you can see, here used some kind of chrome-like finish with giving nice shiny mirror surface. Of course it's a bit gathering fingerprints, but they are easy to wipe and they looking stylish. There are 2 different color options, this grayish silver one and bluish one. Both of them are looking really nice. Shape is really ergonomic, it fits into ears nicely. Even if your ears are pretty small, most probably they will fit in a proper way. Spouts are pretty long, so as you can see, good length, nice good lip for to holding the tips, protective grill, so everything that I'm paying close attention to is present here. So sound isolation is about average, it's enough for public transport or for walking noisy street, but not probably for plane or for the subway. And what else I can add? fitting nicely and pretty securely. So let me put tips back. Actually, they've selected tips a bit smaller than is necessary here, so they are really fitting really tightly, and I like it. Cable is replaceable. Here used MM6 connectors, but MM6 connectors are really tight. I've connected them once and now I can't disconnect them. Probably if I will apply more force I will do it, but I'm afraid to break the socket, so I'm not trying to disconnect them. That's why actually I'm not putting them back into box and storing them with cable. Cable is new with iBasso 01. You've got their iBasso CB, what was it, index CB12 probably, if I remember right, cable. For this model they've designed a separate cable with different look and feel. It's really nice, it's soft, it got almost zero microphonic. Here is ear hook format, it provides nice secure fit. It's soft, of course it's not getting hard when it's cold, it's not tangling easily. There is a chin slider, but not much use in it, and after the slider it goes way down. As you can see, it looks really stylish. It goes way down to the 2.5mm balance jack, but to use it with regular single-ended sources, the iBasso includes this adapter. Really nice touch to have in the accessory set. So probably it's a subjective thing, but I really like design and fit of this model. They are looking not like other models. They have their own unique design and style. And of course about the sound, there are two main notice before discussing their representation and their sounding. First of all, they require pretty lot of burn-in. I've gave them about 60 hours of burn-in, and only after 50 hours or so their sound settled. And also they require really precise tip selection, because sound really depends on fit, and fit really depends on tip selection, so please spend some time finding the best suiting tips for you, because they can drastically change the sound. And now we have to put some player on the table, and this time I've decided to be consistent, so it's iBasso DX120, perfect match for this in-ear monitors. While first version of IT01 was really good sounding, but it wasn't iBasso's signature. They've introduced more typical V-shaped signature, and IT01s now it's once again iBasso sound. You know, I'm really huge fan of their consistency, and I really like how they implement the same sound signature in different products really successfully. So its signature is natural, really resolving technical sound with a slight accent on the treble. So this IEMs offers this too. So this carbon nanotube diamond-like coating driver is really potent. It offers great resolution. You know, it's pretty despite being a pretty big 10mm driver, is really big diaphragm for in-ear monitors, but it's still really fast and resolving, and resolution is one of the signature characteristics of these in-ear monitors. And of course, because this is not a hybrid model or multi-driver model, they are really coherent, and that's what makes them stand out from the vast majority of other in-ear monitors that used hybrid or multi-driver design. They've reduced accent on the low frequencies a little bit compared with the first version of 01, or probably regular 01. It's not correct to call them first version, but I still will refer probably them as the first version often. So bass here is a bit less accented, but it's still, you know, really punchy, really really noticeable when it's necessary, with good depth, with good amount of body, with good power. Of course, it's not a bass for, for bass heavy genres, for those who like a lot of bass, because bass here is linear. It's perfect for real instruments, for classical music, for other styles like that, and it's perfect for creating foundation for your tunes, actually for tunes you listen, and it's not a model for bass, for those who like bass heavy or who like accented bass. So I've said this before. As an before illustration, I will mention that it offers perfect texturing, really good resolution, and perfect control. Of course, bass is not bleeding onto mids, it stays perfectly on its place. It can play all that necessary rumbles or blows, but when it's not necessary, it's staying on its place perfectly. As an illustration, I will use Hans Zimmer concert in Prague. I really like it. I'm a fan of classical music, but I'm a limited fan of classical music. I like, let's name it probably, not dull classical music. I understand that, for example, I don't know, some fortepiano nocturnes or some violin concerts are great. They are really, it's probably not the right word to call them dull, but for me they are pretty dull for me, let's say so. I like big orchestras, I like orchestral classics, and I like when tune is changing tempo, changing some pitch and so on. So that's why I like Hans Zimmer concerts, and as an illustration here I will use the main, or actually it's not main theme from Dark Knight, it's more of compilation of different tunes from this trilogy, but it's still Dark Knight theme. I actually recently rewatched these movies, like them so much, and there are a lot of bass foundation as usual, as it's usual for big orchestra, and also there are a lot of bass notes appearing at random sometimes to provide the proper mood for the tune. And these in-ear monitors are really great because they control all these notes and perfectly. Mids here are, I can rarely say that, but mids here are not recessed, because usually we've got V-shaped signature, and here they are almost on the same level with bass, and they are not forward, because sometimes some manufacturers prefer to make forward mids. So mids are really resolving, really, of course, not as resolving as balanced armatures, but really close to this, to typical balanced armature models. Great resolution, great representation of all the tiny nuances and details that are put into track, but they require pretty good material, because if there are some issues with material, you will definitely hear those issues. Imaginary soundstage is above average both in width and in depth, but it's also typical for resolving natural model, at least for me. Good three-dimensional positioning and really nice staging. And as an illustration, I will use a bit unusual tune. Shame on me, but I've learned about a group called Magnum only 2 years ago. It's a great, probably rock group. They've celebrated 40 years on stage, but almost all that 40 years they avoided my attention. And in 2016, when they released this album, Sacred Blood Divine Lies, YouTube showed me this video clip for the song named Crazy Old Mothers, and I fell in love with this group. It's one of my favorite rock groups, because they are able to make you shake your hand, they are able to make you move, and I really want to visit their concert, but not sure I will be able to do ever, because they are really old now. But anyway, just pause this video and go and find on YouTube this video clip for the song Crazy Old Mothers and watch it to be on the same page with me. I really like this combination of rock music and all this calm parts with high contrast when you got fortepiano, vocal, some violins, and then guitar riffs and drums and bass and everything changing really quickly, and it's really groovy and really pumping. Really, I don't know exact proper words, but anyway, pretty complicated melody to represent, so it requires some resolution, it requires good staging, it requires some good spaciousness, so everything is present here. And treble, of course, it's also iBasso model, so treble here is also nice. They've paid close attention to the treble. It has really good extension. I really like it. They've put some peak in the treble area somewhere at about 5-6 kilohertz or somewhere there. But for me, they are not sounding sharp. Out of the box, I've got hints of sibilance, but after burn-in, this was settled, and now they are perfectly balanced. For me, I really like it. But if you are treble sensitive, of course, probably it may be not a model for you. But to my ears, they've got a great balance of resolution and naturalness of the treble. I really enjoy when treble sounds really natural. Of course, layering is pretty basic and decays are a bit simplified, but anyway, it's still pretty good. One of the best treble in this price range. And as an illustration, I've got Snarky Puppy, Family Dinner Volume 2, and actually what tune I've selected, of course, Sing to the Moon. A really nice track with great vocal. Actually, it can be an illustration of bass and mid frequencies too, because it has also some deep bass notes and really complex melody in the mid frequencies, but also there are a lot of percussion and a lot of instruments hitting almost treble area, and a lot of overtones that require upper treble. And this track is recorded really nicely, so it demonstrates the treble in these in-ear monitors really good. They are really natural and really balanced in these terms. So to summarize the sound of this model, it's almost natural sounding model for those who like resolution, who prefer uncolored sound, but at the same time it's really technical in-ear monitors that can play really good bass rumble when it's necessary, when it's able to play really nice emotional mids when it's present on the recording, but they won't add any coloration. And if you like some coloration, probably you should look at some other models, because it's iBasso sound natural and technical. And a few words about comparison. Probably the most interesting question is how do they compare with first version, or with non-S version of IT01, and I'd say that it's pretty different in ear monitors. You know, when someone compared the frequency response, difference wasn't really big, because just more accent on the lows for first version, a bit more accent on the treble for this version, but in practice difference is really big, because first version is more V-shaped, more fun sounding, but they are also a bit more forward and more aggressive on the upper mids and lower treble. So they're sounding more emotional, more forward, so it's fun, but it's not super natural and natural signature. And those are really step towards the so-called audiophilic representation, more natural, more resolving, and more natural in vast majority of cases. And IT03 iBasso it's a hybrid model, so difference is also pretty predictable. The 03 has more low frequencies, a bit, not much more, but not a bit more low frequencies, and a bit more resolving mids and treble, but at the same time they are less coherent, because you can notice the place where drivers overlap, and those are more coherent, and sometimes they are sounding even more natural, but not always. So if you like a bit more low frequencies and a bit more resolution, then you can probably pay a few bucks extra for 03, but 01s is well, not probably really close to them, but they have similar signature, but represented in a bit another way. There are a lot of other models in this price range, for example my beloved Campfire Audio Comet, but almost all those models sounds totally different, because those are pretty natural with a bit accented treble, and other models are not, and it will be the main difference. Also, this one are one of the most resolving dynamic driver models in this price range, so it's another difference. So I won't go deeply into another comparisons. Here is iBasso IT01s. And actually for dubs pairing they don't require a lot of driving power, but they require good resolution and good control. So of course iBasso dubs are one of the best options, but with vast majority of other dubs they will also sound pretty nicely. So if you're looking for the dynamic driver but resolving model sounding really natural, then iBasso created a perfect gift for you and perfect model for you to treat yourself. Thank you for attention, see you in next reviews.